Why should I go to only USA?
US is all about money. The amount of money they can make in the 3 years going to be substantial enough for them to restart their life in some other country. On the other end comes a country like Canada. No money, weather sucks, yet PR, you get permanent residency very, very fast.
So part-time is illegal.
No country says part-time is legal. There are rules. For example, in the US, you are allowed part-time within the campus. In UK, legally, you are allowed to work outside the campus too.
When to start preparation, what kind of exams are there, how to choose a college, how to write an application.
For me, a great college is a college where...
So there's a lot happening around just Trump.
President Donald Trump talk.
Donald Trump wants to begin his second term with a bang. He's promising shock and awe.
My view is that Trump is going to be a bloody good news. During the COVID, a lot of copying is happening in GR. ATS is making hell of money. They have reduced the duration, increased the number of slots. Not that they're not aware of the shit. Parents are thinking that if I pay for someone to write the GRE, my kid's future will improve. In India, you can sit at home jobless. Outside, you cannot. Here, India does not respect the teachers. I can talk about hundreds of students whose parents were in deathbed in India. They did not come back. Every single person who is sitting in the US, who is sitting in the UK, advising people, don't come here, don't come here, don't come here, he will really not pack the bag and come here. Why?
ఇవాళ మన గెస్ట్ నా మెంటర్, నా గురు మొహమ్మద్ అబ్దుల్లా గారు. ఒక 15 ఏళ్ల క్రితం నేను ఫస్ట్ టైం కలిశాను. ఆ రోజు నుంచి ఈ రోజు వరకు నాలాంటి ఎంతోమంది స్టూడెంట్స్కి ఒక మార్గదర్శి. సో ఈ ఎపిసోడ్లో మేము ఫారెన్ ఎడ్యుకేషన్ గురించి, ఎస్పెషలీ మన తెలుగు రాష్ట్రాల్లో ప్రతి పేరెంట్కి, ప్రతి స్టూడెంట్కి ఉండే రకరకాల డౌట్స్. అసలు నేను ఇండియాలో జాబ్ చేయాలా, బయటికి వెళ్ళి మాస్టర్స్ చేయాలా, తర్వాత జాబ్ ఎట్లా తెచ్చుకోవాలి, ఏ కంట్రీకి వెళ్ళాలి, ఏ ఎగ్జామ్ రాయాలి, ఎంత మార్కులు తెచ్చుకోవాలి, ఎలాంటి ప్రిపరేషన్ చేయాలి, ఇలా ఎన్నో రకాల డౌట్స్ ఉంటాయి మనందరికీ. వీటన్నిటిని సాల్వ్ చేయడం కోసం ఈ ఎపిసోడ్ మీ ముందు తీసుకొస్తున్నాం. ఈ 1.5 to 2 hours లాంగ్ ఉండే ఎపిసోడ్లో మీరు మొత్తం అన్ని ఆన్సర్స్ తెలుసుకోవచ్చు. సో లేట్ చేయకుండా మీ పిల్లల్ని, మీ పేరెంట్స్ని కూర్చోపెట్టి స్టార్ట్ చేయండి. ఇక మొదలెడదామా? బై ద వే, మీకు విషయం చెప్పడం మర్చిపోయా. ఈ ఎపిసోడ్ అంతా ఇంగ్లీష్లో ఉంది. అబ్దుల్లా సార్కి తెలుగు రాదు. మీరేం అనుకోకుండా, కింద కమెంట్లో తిట్టుకోకుండా చూసేయండి. చూస్తారుగా? Hi sir, how are you?
Thank you so much. I'm doing fine. Thank you.
Sir, it's been what? Since 2010 that we met. And every time I meet you, there is some kind of energy that you always transfer it to me. And believe me, I've learned something from you through this journey that whenever I go somewhere, people tell the same to me. So I should completely give the credit to you as my guru there.
I'm honored. One of the things I keep saying, I'm 50 plus now. One of the reasons I still feel young is because I'm always surrounded by people like you. So as much as probably we give energy to the students, so we receive the same back. So thank you so much from my side as well.
Wonderful, sir. So always a pleasure meeting you. But today, I wanted to bring some interesting aspects from you to our audience, especially on foreign education, what is happening with the new laws and rules and policies from Trump, what is going to happen with GREs, job situations, everything to do about foreign education. But before we get there, I would like to introduce you to our audience with more details and specifics of you.
Please.
So let's start by asking you this question. How long has it been since your entrepreneurial journey has started?
Basically, I started my career with Power Finance Corporation, which is a Government of India company. I basically come from a background where people in government are given a lot of respect. So it was obvious for me that I had to join that. By the way, my elder brother is an IAS officer, so I had to take that step as well. I quit that to join a company called as CRISIL, which is basically a financial rating and advisory firm.
The firm that gives the credit rating for all of us.
Yes, that's right. I was there with them for about 3 years. And then my wife was my batchmate when I was doing my MBA. We were both working in Mumbai. She was with RPG Enterprises. We decided we want to do something on our own. And 2002, we came to Visakhapatnam. I'm not an Andhraite, I'm actually Tamilian, but my wife is an Andhraite. We opted for Andhra as a destination because, someone said that Andhra people love education and they'll pay for it.
And definitely
So
I've seen it now.
That was a nice insight and advice given. So that resulted in me coming to Visakhapatnam. And since 2002, I have been basically interacting with the students, guiding them, training them. So it has been what? 23, 24 years now, sir?
24 years almost.
Yeah.
So here I have to say, I know you as a school principal. Have you taken the
Okay, there's a story there. I started with the school. I wanted to be the principal.
Oh, you wanted to be?
Yeah. So, I still remember going and meeting the Department of Education, school education. But they said that to be a principal, you have to have a BEd. So I went to Andhra University, registering for BEd. They asked me what is my prior degree. I said I'm an engineer. I'm a MBA from a top college and I want to be a principal. I want to do BEd. They said, no, you have to have a BSc or
what?
Yeah. So I said, all right, how do I, so what is the alternate? They said, you'll have to do BSc then. So I decided rather than doing all that, I'll employ someone else to become the principal and I'll still run the show. So I was not actually there for a principal, but yes, I was administering a school. I started with the school.
So you went to IASC, you went to MDI, and in spite of doing all of that, still
you need to have that degree to do BEd.
So
you can't do.
Typical process has to be followed.
You have to stick to that. That's what government says. So
is it still the same after 20 years?
I'm not too sure, but I'll be surprised if it has been removed. So, yeah.
So now that our audience know your background in education, can you also help us understand about why you got into GRE, CAT or GMAT, all these aspects of the business? Why not traditional +1, +2 college or a engineering college or something like that?
No, I think there are two types of people. One, they come from a business background. So they, at an early age, they know where they wish to go. There are others who jump into the business by circumstances or a very conscious decision, but it is not something that they come with support. I come in the second category.
At what age were you there?
27, 28 actually.
At 27, you started your education business.
Yeah. See, what happened was that Deepthi and I, we were working in Mumbai, as I said, and we wanted to do something on our own. I love mechanical engineering. I am a mechanical engineer. But when the question came of starting something, it obviously had to be something where the requirement of finance was not as much.
No capital investment.
Yeah. And I think education sector was something that interested both of us. And we were also motivated more by Deepthi's vision of, doing something in the field of education, which was a little innovative. So our quest of starting a school was more to try some new curriculum, new methodologies, which we very successfully did for our initial years. And then the school bureaucracy happened, where they came out by saying that, you have to necessarily, if you're a recognized school, first they forced us to take the recognition, which we did. But once you are a recognized school, you have to necessarily follow their curriculum. And then there were times when, for example, probably, one school van would meet with an accident while going for an excursion or something, and then the notice will come from the DO's office saying that no excursions, etc. Yeah. So all that resulted in is the whole experiment failing, in the sense our whole idea was to try few things. We were constrained. And that is when Deepthi and I took a decision that we'll probably get into a business where government does not play a role. And that is where the coaching happened. And our strength basically lay always on the English side of it. Deepthi reads extensively. Deepthi and I'm a Tamilian, she's an Andhraite, but we speak in English a lot. So obviously, whatever test that we were talking about had to have English at the core. And having written CAT, GRE, etc., we were more inclined towards that. Yes, I got a good rank in GATE as well. I was sub 50, All India 50. But I'm not too convinced about GATE anymore. During my time, it was a need that, and constraint was that you had to only be in India. It was no way you could, afford education outside. Today, with a lot of funding agencies giving even non-collateral loan, the opportunity is much wider. And I strongly believe the fact that abroad education provides better opportunities for individuals today, especially the average ones. Therefore, for us, GRE, CAT, etc. seem to be an obvious route to take.
Understood. So you mentioned you got sub 50 rank in GATE.
Yeah.
What are your scores in GMAT, GRE?
Okay. When Deepthi and I were leaving the job in Mumbai, there was this concern that was there whether business will work or not. We were confident, but I think there's as any good entrepreneur, there's always an insurance that we need to have.
Plan B.
Plan B. So the thing was, if things don't work, then we have to have some fallback option. And the fallback option we came out with, we'll run out of India, do another degree somewhere to the US. That's the reason why we both attempted, I attempted both GRE and GMAT while she attempted GRE. I got 740 in GMAT, it's a very decent score. I got 335 in GRE. And first 2-3 years were challenging. There was a time when we really wanted to quit. We applied, Deepthi got into Harvard and Columbia universities. I got shortlisted into NYU Stern, which is New York University's MBA
Business school.
But thankfully that year business clicked. So few things are destined, I guess. So my journey and Deepthi's journey has continued in this.
So tell me, entrepreneur to entrepreneur, will plan B work always? Or should we even have plan Bs?
I am not Elon Musk. I strongly believe the fact that one should have a backup option. And especially now, because it's very chaotic. Because I know of students who have not got jobs after having been invited to quite a few interviews. I have students who have got jobs but have not got date of joining. I know of students who finally get the date of joining, but then they are dumped after the training phase.
We recently saw that, Infosys.
Yeah, Infosys, all right. So with so much of uncertainty, not having a plan B is probably a very dangerous thing to do and a foolhardy thing to do. So yeah, it's required.
So now that you've brought in the concept of plan B, and for students, obviously plan B is, apart from job, it is going to be education, higher education. Now, can you help me understand, from your perspective, you have seen so many students. By the way, how many students have you seen, sir?
Quite a few. I've been fortunate. There was a time when we used to train about 2,000 to 3,000 students pre-COVID in our Vizag center itself each year. So, I don't know.
I think you should put a number together so that we will know, is it 50,000, 1 lakh?
No, I've been fortunate to have touched quite a big few.
So, from your perspective, especially in the states of Andhra and Telangana, when students come to you for foreign education, is it because they just want to go to US? Or is it because genuinely they want to get into a good college? Or is it because they want to get married with a good dowry and that's the reason they go there? Because I have seen all these situations in my own life. So what are the top 3 reasons that people come to you for international education?
No, I don't think there are 3 reasons. I think there's only one. They want a better lifestyle for themselves. And I think they and the parents, both of them, understand and appreciate the fact that it's a sacrifice being made. Because going abroad is something that puts huge financial and emotional burden on both.
Correct.
But then why do they do that? They do that because there's a hope there. But having said that, one also has to be very conscious that average Andhraite would like to go, let us say, to the US. But if he or she had the way of going through through the worker route, he or she would not go through the student route. So for quite a few, doing masters is a way of relocation in a geography than to fight for PR there.
Got it.
All right. So agenda is not that they want to learn anything. All those are secondary. The primary reason is that they believe, and rightly so in my view, that their life will change. If you look at India, other than the top 1%, 2% who are able to do it on their own, a middle class family member will always continue to be a middle class. It's very tough to break. I come from deep south, a place called Tirunelveli in Tamil Nadu. During my time when I was a kid, many of my relatives would go to Dubai, etc., to earn money. Their family would be back in India. But the money that they would make by sacrificing, by staying away, would help uplift the life of the next generation. Now, when our kids go abroad to whichever country, it's because they want to see that the next generation is not stuck in the same place that, India does not allow for the moment. So, it's sad, but I think that is going to continue.
Is it not changing, sir?
I disagree. In fact, I think the motivation is more towards the other side. I hear a lot of nationalistic talks happening.
Hmm.
But at the same time, I also noticed the fact that whenever an Indian says, I got a red green card or I got a, the PR, H1B, immediately thousands of people say, congratulations, congratulations, your life is made. And that is the true India for whatever has been said.
Hmm.
Reality is people who can afford to send their children outside,
They are doing it.
they are doing it. Reality is those who somehow can manage to send the students by begging, borrowing or stealing, not the third one, of course, they are doing it. All right. Show me one parent who does not want their kid to have a better life.
True, sir.
Now, if a parent wants a kid to stay back in India, in all probability, it is because they want to be taking care of the kids. It's to the good of the heart. But at the same time, I don't think they can ever confidently say that by keeping the kid back, they're not actually compromising probably on the career path the kid might actually take by going outside. So I don't think it is reducing. I think with the more families coming into the fold where both husband and wives are earning, I can give you many examples of my own students who are now going for undergraduation abroad.
For bachelors.
Bachelors.
True.
So I think it's going to increase.
So now that you have established that, foreign education is good and people are looking for it, let's now talk about how to crack this. So a lot of people who are viewing today, either parents or students, would be interested in sending their kids or themselves. So how do they approach this? When to start preparation? What kind of exams are there? Which is good? Which is bad? How to choose a college? How to write an application? Everything. You have to demystify for us how to get into a great college out there. So this is the challenge I'm throwing in front of you, sir.
All right, accepted. All right, I think I'll start by defining the word great. When we say a great college, I think that is where the first mistake takes place. I've seen many students in their mind, a good college is a college which is better in QS ranking.
QS.
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 All right, or US News ranking.
Got it.
These are global rankings. Now, I disagree in that. Because I think one of the things, there are two reasons for that. One is, how are these rankings defined? Rankings are defined on the basis of how many PhDs the college produces, how many papers get published, how many books are there in the library,
alumni,
all that. But the point is, that is not our goal. Our goal is job. Everything else is secondary. I would rather have students go to those colleges where job opportunities are better. I'll give you an Indian analogy. Bihar, a fantastic state, but not a state known for technology. If I were to get an admission in a top college in Bihar, and I were to get an admission in average college in a place like Bengaluru or Hyderabad, I would always recommend the latter. Because a student who is in Bengaluru, while he is going to an average college, he will get opportunities with startups. He's going to network with people. He's going to attend weekend events. All right. So by the time he finishes his 4 years of graduation, he might not have got that much of insight from the college, but he has more than made it up from outside. So for me, location is more important than the ranking.
So you're saying don't go to interiors, rather compromise on college to go into a better place of network job opportunities.
Okay, this is become a bit complex now. Let me elaborate on that as well. One, of course, I agree entirely. Regional colleges, we have to be in the right geography. Right geography, there are two ways of looking at it. One, you have to be in an urban college. Rural college, you will not be able to do a good networking. You will not get so much exposure. But there's a second element to it as well. When we go to a foreign country, we should not forget it's not our country.
Correct.
As much as we are going to benefit from the economic, job opportunities, etc., we are still immigrants. For example, today, if I were to give a context of USA, I tell my students, try to avoid those states which are too much Trumpish states.
Right wing.
All right? Yeah. There are, for example, if a Republican president is going to say something, most of the Republic governors are going to implement it.
Correct.
While the Democrat governments are going to oppose it.
So the red states.
Yeah. I strongly believe the fact that we should go to the state where there has to be one layer protecting us. So we want the economic benefit that Trump is going to bring in, but we do not want the immigration madness that he has already brought in.
So can you throw a few names of these states, this side and that side?
Oh, lots. Georgia, Tennessee, Mississippi,
Texas.
No, Texas has one feature. It is a Republican state, but it's not so strongly Republican as, completely stays there. So if you even look at, therefore, even the way the technology has evolved, technology has also evolved in those areas where, we have gone and vice versa.
True.
Most of them you will see are in the democratic states. East Coast, West Coast,
True.
you don't see in the center. Those are the Trump states.
Hmm.
All right. So maybe a college is very good. Maybe job opportunities are good. Atlanta has a fantastic set of job opportunities, but it is racist.
Hmm.
Now, to say that you will not face racism once you go there, I think is a fool's way of looking at it. It will not just be, experience. It
Or
will
even
be
microaggression. For
It
that
is,
matter.
yeah, people are doing so.
Hmm.
All right, just forget about government. People are doing so. So when you are planning a college, it cannot just be it's very good academically. Is it safe for you?
Hmm.
There are certain states where guns, for example, can be openly purchased. All right. There are other states where you can't do so. Weather, for example, there are states where the temperature falls so badly.
I've known people who went to Alaska.
Alaska, I'm afraid of even going to Ohio. Forget about Alaska. All right. So the point I'm trying to make is there are a lot of things that come in to define what is a right set of college. For me, a great college is a college where I know I'll face racism, but it is not too much. Jobs are there, but jobs are there for Indians as well, not necessarily only for certain, race people. Not too many Indians because I would
Competition.
then be competing for anything and everything, part-time jobs, internships, jobs. Moreover, too many Indians also means that I will not learn how to interact with the natives.
Hmm.
I'll not benefit from having gone there. All right. There are institutions in the US, so are they in UK, for example, where majority of them are Indians. Forget Indians, majority are Andhrites.
So can you double click on that? Many people go there and come back without even knowing the basic language accent sometimes. And when I ask them why, what is the need? Everyone speaks in Telugu there.
Yeah, I think that is specific to the US more than any other country. See, when a person goes to the UK, you cannot avoid interacting with the natives. But in certain states in the US, you talk about Texas, very well known, especially Dallas area, etc. North Carolina is now happening. You have St. Louis in Missouri. So there, you can always be in an Indian ecosystem. So I can go from Andhra, I can go to a college like UTD, a fantastic college, I don't recommend at all, and be in the class where 95% are Andhrites, then stay in a hostel and a community where everyone is an Andhrite. And then once you graduate out, you will work in a company made by Andhra, for Andhra, and then be in the community of Andhra. 10 years, then after 10 years, you come to Andhra Pradesh, India, and speak like an Andhrite. There's no accent, no comfort, no change. And I think these are majority of them. I know I'm generalizing, which I should not, but they have made USA a substitute for Andhras. They're comfortable with what they are. But there are also quite a few there who probably are not happy because they have not been able to, they're not accepted completely. All right. And I don't blame the natives there. The fact of the matter is we have continued to be in our own ecosystem there.
So can we double click on that? How to become a good citizen or a good immigrant there so that we are very well gelled with the locals? What are the tips that you give to your students today?
I think it starts with part-time jobs. See, when a student goes abroad, and I'm not just talking about the US, I'm talking anywhere, every avenue which allows them to interact with the natives, which allows them to interact with people from different countries, should be taken advantage of. I know of students who have gone to the UK, and then on the part-time job, they have taken the job of a security guard. Now, security guard is not like the Indian security guard. No,
For Indian hotel.
They are going to sit in an AC room with a lot of monitors, looking around, all right, once in a while. But you know why people do that? For two reasons. One, at that time, they can sit and finish their homework. Second, they don't need to interact with others because they're genuinely afraid of interacting with others. Now, in this process, they are not actually doing anything to overcome that fear as well.
True.
Now, if you take up a job which requires you to interact,
customer-facing role.
Yeah, I have also told my kids in jest and seriousness, sometimes even jobs in pubs, for example, where you're actually meeting an aggressive native. You learn how to stand up for yourself. You learn how to interact with them, and that So that helps you socialize. And that doesn't just stop there. Then that gets carried. Similarly, choice of college. If you are going to very consciously look for colleges which you know are majority Indians, then even before going there, you've decided that you are not going to make an attempt to, change.
So wherever there are Telugu people or Indians, run away.
I think you don't need to, we are going to be everywhere. Okay. So that cannot be avoided, but the numbers are different. There are certain states, certain colleges where the percentage of Indians and students coming from Telugu states are not as high, but there are other states where it's phenomenally high. In fact, I was speaking to a friend, a student of mine. She is in St. Louis. And I was asking her, I have this thing of, chatting up with them. I was asking her, how's the class composition? She says there are 5 Americans in the class,
That's
in a
it.
batch of 120. And I said, are you interacting with them? They said, those Americans were telling the fact that they don't, find this place as America because everyone speaks in
their
Telugu.
vernacular languages.
Yeah, vernacular language. So, therefore, that is not going to help with them evolve. And the sad thing is, because of which what is going to happen is, we Indians who go there, our kids who go there, they'll never feel at home there. So when they go, for example, because of work or some other reason to some other state where they're going to require to interact with the natives, we don't know how to interact with the natives, in spite of the fact that they have been there for
4 or 5 years.
quite a few years.
Good time.
And I think that is sad. So I think there again, the decision would have to be taken while they are choosing the college, having made a promise to themselves that they are not just looking at that as a way of seeking education or a job. They genuinely want to be a part of the society there. All right. And towards this end, as I said, it starts with the part-time jobs, participation in clubs within the colleges. Similarly, if you are forming teams, you are not going to be welcome. And that especially is true in countries like Germany and, when I talk about European subcontinent, where language is a big barrier. I have a student of mine who did her undergraduate in Switzerland, and she said that those were the 3 worst of her years because she said, I never felt at home. The question I asked is, did you try to make it your home? Did you make effort to learn the local language? So when we go to a foreign country, we cannot expect that they are going to come to us. So when we go to countries like Germany, or we go to countries which are a little closed, in the sense they're not very easy to allow someone from outside, we need to make more effort. All right. These days there's a fashion, people all want to go to Germany and all that, but they don't invest in learning the language.
Very true.
If they don't do that, they're not going to benefit from such education too. So I think that is where those students make the decision of going abroad much earlier. They don't work towards that. And I think that is where we have to play our role. People who have already been there, they have to give the right set of advice of how
To choose.
they have to prepare before they come there, because otherwise they'll be lost.
You have given us good context and good opening. Now I have a common question that every student parent would have. Why should I go to only USA? Why not Europe, like Germany, France? Why not even Africa, Australia, Singapore, Philippines? Why USA?
I don't agree that one has to go to the USA. I think the choice of a question, the country one chooses, has to be a function of what you really want. And I think that is also recognized by Indians. Let me set an example. If you are a person who has career as the main focus and money is what drives you, then USA is the right country. The level of salary that you will get, the savings that you get is tremendous. If you were to look at Indians who are coming back to India after having stayed abroad, and once they come here, they're not coming as employees, but they're coming as employers. Majority of them are going to be from the USA.
True.
All right. And that reason is the saving capacity that US offers is phenomenal. In fact, many students, in spite of all the uncertainty whether they will get H-1B visa, etc., they are still willing to go to the USA because the amount of money they can make in the 3 years of the
Part-time job.
OPT after finishing is going to be substantial enough for them to probably restart their life in some other country. I have a lot of my students who have gone to the US. After 3 years, they have not got H-1B visa. But because of the 3 years of experience in the USA, which is considered to be very good, and the savings that they have been able to make, they've been able to go to another country like, let us say, Canada, and start their life afresh. So US is all about money. In my case, I started my life with the government. I then went to the private sector. I then went to entrepreneur because I love money. My elder brother is a very James Bond, all right? Gold medalist in IIT Madras, All India 1 in GATE. He got a job in the US for with Texas Instruments, which is EC's best. He did not do that. He went to the government. So if you want money, USA. If you want, on the other end, comes a country like Canada. No money, not many great facilities, weather sucks, yet PR, you get permanent residency very, very fast. So if you were to roll back and have a look, about 2-3 years back, about 2.5 lakh people went to the US, 4 lakh went to Canada. So there are two, these are the two countries at the end of the spectrum. So it's not really true, therefore everyone goes to Canada, to US. But between them come a lot of countries. You have Ireland coming up, you have UK in a big way, Australia is a big player. Singapore has started coming in, you have Dubai which has started coming in. So these are countries which come in the middle of the spectrum where the salaries may not be as high as what US has to offer, but PR is surely not as long as US will take to give. So I think that where you fall in the spectrum depends entirely on what your preferences are. Now, but when we talk about the European mainland countries, I think there one has to really look a little deeper. European mainland countries, chiefly among that Germany, France, Netherlands, etc., they don't speak English.
True.
Indian ecosystem there is not strong enough. The food habits that they have are not as cosmopolitan as what we demand. So Indians have normally avoided those countries, but of late, yes, there is a trend towards them. And I do think this trend is more driven by consultants who are trying to sell these countries rather than people being aware of why they are going there.
I see a lot of traction coming for Poland, Luxembourg, etc. etc. Is this the reason, sir?
Which is a pity. There are a lot of companies which are promoting these countries as a destination, not informing completely to the students what the other side of the story is, because these are not countries where Indians would be welcomed very easily. I'm not saying they're anti-immigrants, but the fact of the matter is the language barrier, cultural barriers are quite strong.
Actually, I heard Poland is a very close country that way.
Most of the European countries are. In fact, these are those countries where even if they know English, they will not speak in English.
They don't speak.
All right? They will not be welcoming even. They expect your level of English to be a little higher. And there is an element of, the white, which is unfortunate, but that is, racism is there.
But sir, there's so many people who are talking about Germany in spite of all of this because the education is free. So what is this going on with Germany?
No, I think Germany is a fantastic country to go to. But is it going to offer opportunity to everyone? Answer is no. And I think today, of the 100 people who, let's say, are going to Germany, it's close to about 20,000 now, expected to go to as high as 50,000 in a few years' time. Majority of them don't even know why they are going there. And the main reason why they go is education is free. They don't realize the fact that education is a pathway to the career later.
So what's the career?
The question that they need to ask is, am I going to be comfortable working in that place? Am I going to be, comfortable living in that place? Because no Indian is going to finish his education and come back. They are going to stay there. For example, in Germany, the salary levels are surely not comparable to what US gives. Taxes are very heavy. Yes, they get a lot of social security, etc. But that is not what, at that age, you don't need that social security. You might need it later. That's a different issue. I have always believed that there's a certain age where the whole focus should be on career and making as much as money as possible. So, but yes, I do agree that education quality is good if you get into the right public schools and you make effort to learn the local culture, local language, integrate with the society, then Germany is a good decision. But believe me, out of 100, probably 10 are serious on that. 90 have no clue. They just have been told education is free. By the way, education is no more free, all right? There are a lot of states which are rolling back. If you look at Technical University in Munich, it has started charging money for international students. When I say international, these are non-EU students. But the main reason why I am against Germany and other countries is because of the discrimination one will face while searching for a job. Now, let me elaborate on that because it's important to know that. Every country there's a rule. For example, let us say I go to the US and I get an employment. For me to get a work visa, the rule says there should be a native there should be no native who should be able to do your work.
Only then you would get it.
Yeah. All right. Fortunately, in the US, especially in the field of technology,
Not many.
So Indians benefit out of that. There's a rule in Australia, there's a rule in UK, there's a rule in Ireland. All these countries have the same rule. Now let's look at the German rule, or that's true for France and other countries as well. The rule says first preference will be given to the Germans. If Germans are not there,
EU.
second preference will be given to EU. There are 26 other countries in EU. German might not be there. French might not be there. There are so many people in the queue here. All right. The third one says, if even they are not there, preference will be given to those who come from countries where Germany once ruled. Algeria, for example. All right. So there are a lot of North African countries where people are going. All right. Not many countries were ruled by the Germans because after the World War II, many other countries took over. But there are Morocco. There are a few countries. All right. Algeria is more now Frenchish. But the fact of the matter is, we come fourth. Now, question comes, how good are we in fourth? What we forget is the second is 26 people. 26 countries in European Union. So it's not easy to get a job. It is challenging, but the pity is people are not focusing on that. People are thinking education is free. And I think there Indians are losing out on one focus, which I keep saying, whenever doubt, when you don't know, look at what the best of the best students are doing. Why are IITians preferring USA? Why are you telling me that IITians are not aware that Germany education is free? They are doing well in GATE. GATE allows you to enter into German universities.
Is it?
Oh, yes.
Oh, this I didn't know.
There are a lot of universities in Germany which accept GATE, in fact, need GATE. All right. So the point is, you can't rush in just because it is cheap. Similarly, I would probably like to talk about, Italy. Just this morning, I was looking at a big poster of Italy, cheap education. I don't understand. Why are people not doing the research to notice the fact that Italians, because they're not finding jobs in Italy, are leaving Italy, going to Germany, going to France, while we are going to a country where the own natives are leaving. Just because we think, if some country is white-skinned or in Europe, it is going to have a better life than in India, not necessarily so.
Is it because just that I want to go to a foreign country and I'm going to any country that I get to?
I think it's a stereotyping. No Indian will think of going to Bangladesh, even if Bangladesh is a foreign country.
So we need the white skinny.
We need the white-skinned. We are not going to go to Africa. Or how rich it might be.
Even the best college of South Africa, we won't go there.
We will not. For us, Europe and USA, Canada, they are in a different, the stereotyping that we have is entirely different. We believe once we go there, life is going to be good. We are told that once you go and get educated in Italy, get the job, you can work anywhere in European Union, which is not a fact. But they don't research that. And that's a pity because today information is there.
Sir, I have a follow-up question here. For most of the engineering students, tech students, as you rightly mentioned, US is the haven. But I also heard the other side of the story that, for the science students, for the research in biology, plants, whatnot, I see a lot of good opportunities coming in the European countries. So what is your take on that?
No, I entirely agree. I think one has to understand the difference between what US stands for and what Europe stands for. Europe is a socialistic economy. US is a capitalistic economy. Most of the funding of research in Europe happens through government. Most of the funding of research in US happens through corporates. Corporate is not going to be investing money in true science. They want applied science. While in Europe, they are not bothered about whether a product is coming out, whether it is profitable. They are interested in research.
Keep doing the work.
So I know of many of my own students from IIT Madras, for example, they will do their masters in US. But when they want to do the PhD, they will probably go to Europe and do it. Europe is fantastic at research.
Good funding opportunities.
Yeah. It's fantastic. Getting admission is not easy. In fact, it's easier in US than in Europe, especially the PhD side. Because government funding, which obviously means limited funding, as against corporate funding, which is a huge bag.
Wonderful, sir. So this is somehow we have covered most on the foreign education part. Let's take a small break now and move towards some fun aspects of life. So you mentioned that you watch movies, and I have a fond memory of us watching a movie together. This was 2009, 10ish time.
Okay.
So back in the day in Conduira, you used to have those Sunday morning movie screenings.
Yeah.
Deepthi
For
ma'am
my
and
CAT
you both used to come in, and we were all CAT students, yes. And you used to play a movie, uh, break it into parts, explain us what's happening, ask us questions. Those were all interesting days, and that's how actually I learned how to see a movie, how to watch a movie. So now, from that point in my life, I've seen so many movies which so much inspired me. And sometimes when I'm in deep shit, like a new entrepreneur, I just go home, turn on the TV, watch the 1, 2 movies, roll some tears out, and then go back to work. So this has been my inspiration to my collection of inspiration from movies. So what are some of those interesting movies that inspire you, that you can tell our audience so that they can go back and lean upon them?
I watch movies, number one, to relax. I also watch movies because, like you, I am also an entrepreneur. There are days when though that day has not been good, you really want something that pushes you up. You want to probably hear that one dialogue that makes
Hope,
yeah. Gladiator, for example.
That's action, that's
not-
raw energy.
No. But the dialogues there make you stand up and fight. Or, it makes you believe the fact that even if you're down, you need to have that pride in you to fight. So, there are a lot of movies which I watch, especially the sports one. There's a one Secretary.
All biographies, like the Horseman.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, the underdog ones, because I think that is also to do with us. I'm sure you will empathize there. As entrepreneurs, we are the underdogs. We were having this conversation some time back where we were saying majority of the people who are successful in the business come from a pedigree of business. All right. If you are not coming from such a background, like I don't, if you don't come from that background, then your success rate is
Drastically
lower and the pathway is a little more challenging. So I'm sure you and I, we would have seen such days. And during that time, you really want a story of an underdog who has been able to make something.
And it has to be a real story.
It has to be real. Because I think we are not that young anymore to, not be aware something is a fantasy.
But do you watch cartoons, sir? Cartoon movies?
Oh, I'm crazy about it.
Wow.
I love Ice Age, for example.
Wonderful.
These are crazy. I mean, see, the beauty is you can laugh it away.
Yeah.
And today, these cartoons are very realistic. And even as a kid, I used to look up upon movies like He-Man. There was this thing which was a Korean one. Casper, the Friendly Ghost. So there are. I think these are ones you want to watch because you just want to shut your mind for some time. And I would strongly advocate that youngsters should pick these things up too. I train students even for placements, interviews and all that. Sometimes kids ask me, sir, is watching cartoon a right hobby to write or is it
On a resume?
Yeah, resume. I say bloody write. Because the beauty is when you write, it is something the interview will be drawn towards. Because a kid who is 21, right, he's not a kid anymore, right?
But for you, it's a kid.
I tend to call my students kids. A 21-year-old writing in the resume cartoons, watching cartoons as a hobby, is likely to bring the focus towards that area, towards
The point of
the
attention.
interview. Yeah.
The point of
And
attention.
it's an opportunity for you to open up and start selling yourself a little more strongly.
Absolutely.
And I think students should start doing that if they're not doing it.
Wonderful, sir. So, along with the movies, I also remember one of the first books, apart from textbooks, introduced to me, again, was via you, called The Mockingbird.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
So, can you also give us, our audience, 1 or 2 good books that they can start with if they have never had a habit of reading a book?
I basically, I was not a very good student. I think anyone in the audience who comes from a background where they have had siblings who are a little more intelligent would probably empathize with me. My 1-year senior brother of mine, he was always a James Bond. And therefore what would happen is that, and we were in the same school, So
you're always compared with him.
Always. Even if I do well, why have you not done as well as what Siddiq has been able to do? All right. So I think that resulted in me not doing that well in my schooling days, which obviously also meant that I didn't develop the right habits. So I'm not going to blame that the schools did not inculcate. But today, I'm going to say quite a few schools actually don't inculcate these habits. Now, I started reading, I was introduced to the books for the first time when I was in engineering. And I will never forget Cain and Abel by Jeffrey Archer was my first book, and I fell in love.
What's a fiction?
It's a fiction. It's a fiction. Since then, I have read all his books. But more importantly, I have understood the beauty of reading books. It not just improves your ability to read, your vocabulary, it improves your ability to visualize things. You become a storyteller. And I normally encourage my students, whether it's my CAT student, GRE student, that they have to read not just of one given genre. They have to read wide.
Good portfolio.
Yeah, it has to be eclectic. And the reason that should be there so is that today, when you're interacting with people, people come with different backgrounds. I should know how to chit-chat with you. If my interest is in law and you are not interested in law and I happen to know only about law, what do I speak with?
I can never break an ice.
Yeah. And I think that is what is holding many of our kids in socializing with people who are different from them, you know.
Very true, sir.
So, reading is something which, as I said, I was introduced then. Since then, I have read a lot of books. I make it a point to read a lot of books. I tend to avoid certain set of books, and I also encourage the students also to do so. I find that a lot of kids read too much of self-help books. I'm happy the kids are seeking, they understand they need help. But you can't go overboard on that.
So you're saying don't do over self-help.
And especially if you are reading for self-improvement, I understand. But it is not going to help you improve your English or vocabulary for that matter. So, for example, in a lot of kids who are preparing for GRE, CAT, etc., their level of vocabulary requirement is much higher. Self-help books are going to be written using simple English.
Anyone
should be able to understand it. So it's surely not going to help you there. All right. Read these books, but don't limit yourself only to these books. And I think that message has to be reiterated, especially for the current generation, because current generation is moving more away from reading to watching. They like the visual art, but they don't like the black and white, which is a bit worrisome.
For that very reason, can you open us with one or two black and white movies and black and white books so that these could be a starting point? I can say one that you have introduced me to, a movie called 12 Angry Men. 1950s movie, 12 people in a room, just the room, and they discuss and come through a great logical conversation out of it. Amazingly mind-stimulating video that is.
12 Angry Men is something that I encourage many of my students to watch it, not just because of the logic, but also because of the body language. This movie basically talks about how a person is able to use arguments to completely turn, the mindset of the other 11 who want to send the
kid to the jail.
And the amazing part about that movie is it captures the doubt that individual has. All right. It also showcases how sometimes stereotyping
is not,
and their own experiences could cloud their judgment. For example, there's a scene in this movie where he has had a bad experience with a person similar to the one who is blamed right now. So he has a bad view of all. Generalization.
A bias coming in.
It's a very biased one. All right. So the bottom line is, I think there are a lot of movies, both black and white and even color for that matter today, which can give you a perspective of life, which you probably had it, but you didn't really think too much about it. I'm hearing a lot. I've not watched this movie. I actually watched the equivalent movie in Malayalam, Mrs. It talks about the patriarchal.
I know the kitchen.
The lady who is always, who's always expected to do all the homework and all that.
The Great Indian Kitchen. In Malayalam.
Yeah, I watched the Malayalam version. All right. The point is, these movies, when you watch, you, I believe, start empathizing a little bit.
A new perspective will open up.
It opens up. And that is the perspective our kids have to get by watching movies of different kind, reading books of different kind. Now, you will probably be introduced to certain theories, etc., which go against what you believe in. All right. And I'm not going to say that you have to therefore change your belief.
But tolerance is
But
built up.
yes, you become broad-minded. What is sad these days is that I've seen kids who argue from one side without knowing what can be a logical argument from the other side. And I think this is also a result of all the loss in these good habits. You know, today you make a nationalistic movie, we know it's going to be a hit.
True.
You make something that wants to question your mind, it's going to become controversial for the society. And I think that is not good for these youngsters, especially ones who wish to finally leave India and go abroad.
Absolutely.
When you go abroad and you don't go with an open mind, you are not going to feel at home there. You know.
So will all this help in whatever interview processes, admissions process we go through and living in well? Do you think this is all going to help them one way or the other?
Yeah, I think so. See, the point is, for example, you look at MBA. The MBA admissions abroad is not a simple process, especially in good institutions. You write a lot of essays. When you are writing such essays, you need to think of examples in your life, which you understand is a story that you can talk about. How do you know which is the right story to say?
How do we know? Tell me, sir. Come on, let's start with that. How do I identify what's the right story in my own life to begin with? Is it a sad story or is it an inspiring story? What do I start with?
No, I think it is to do with how your story is different from someone else's story.
So there has to be some
When
uniqueness to it.
you have read many things, you know certain things you might have gone through which you thought were different, but you now notice the fact that others have experienced it. They are not going to become your USP. They are not going to be unique to you. If they are not unique to you, you documenting is not going to help. But when you read more, you listen to others more, you get to know of certain incidences others have gone through, which you know are very different. But at the same time, you also start getting to realize, oh, what I have gone through is...
You reflect on your own life.
Yeah, you do it and you understand how you are different. What has happened in your childhood, during your, adolescence, where certain events which define you, which have made you what you are. Those are the stories that you need to document. Those are the stories you need to broadcast.
So one or two stories from your own students that have really been in your mind for some time, from their own essays.
I have been very fortunate over the many years to have come across students with different backgrounds. Few very good, few very challenging. I've had, of late, I'm seeing a lot of my kids, sadly women, separated very immediately after the marriage, having gone through a trauma of their own, trying to restart their life. And one of the reasons they are looking abroad is, in their perspective, is easier to restart their life abroad rather than in India. So the story that they talk about, and I am very, I encourage them, I tell them, expose yourself. You don't need to be ashamed. It's a part of your life. All right. And while you're doing so, you're not actually seeking pity. You're telling them, look, that has made me what I am today.
Is it called being vulnerable?
I think vulnerability, exhibiting that you have the vulnerability, is not a negative. As long as you're also able to exhibit the fact that has made you stronger.
And how you have taken over that.
Everyone faces challenge. Who does not face a challenge? And if you're not faced a challenge, probably you're not done to your limits. All right. So face the bloody challenge. But having faced a challenge, even if you fail, learn from it and tell me the fact that you have learned. And that is what the application reader is interested in learning. The same thing is true even when you write an SOP. All the students who are going abroad, they have to write a statement of purpose.
Correct.
It's not as comprehensive as what you write in various essays for an MBA, but you write SOP. I know of kids who come from challenging backgrounds. I know of kids where, who have had a bad 1 year, ended up with a lot of backlogs. They try to hide. I say, why are you even hiding it? Anyway, college will get to know of it when they see your mark sheets. So why don't you put that in as a part of the story and talk about the fact that since then I have risen.
So these are students who have really gone through something really challenging. But not everyone will go through that. Many times for a 22-year-old, life has been so normal, especially in this era. So for such students, what would your advice be when they have to write their own SOP in a very interesting way or essay in a very interesting way?
It again depends. For example, when you look for MBA, as I said, it is a little more intense and it demands you to sit and introspect. And I don't think they choose questions which only those people who have had these different stories can talk about. The question is a little wide enough. So you also get an opportunity to think. Now, your story might not be as strong as someone else's challenge, but you might still have been influenced by that. It would have made you what you are. For example, I have known you now for many years, and I know if there's one thing I can associate Jignesh with is entrepreneurship. You have this entrepreneurial zeal. Now, maybe it was this a non-serious incident in your life of having been in a college, having been in a friend circle where everyone talked about business, that you got that. All right.
There should be some trigger.
There has to be a trigger. That trigger might not be huge, but the consequence of that is huge. And what you need to be talking about is that consequence. And I think all of us, even a 21-year-old person with not too much sad story or euphoric story to talk about, has a story to say. And that is the reason MBA schools, both in India and abroad, ask those, because they truly want to know you. Now, when it comes to the statement of purpose for, let us say, an MS degree, frankly, they are not concentrating so much on your personal side of it. They are more interested on your work side of it, your research side of it, your student life of it. So there it's much easier because you really are not opening up too much.
Some extracurriculars and all of that.
Actually, they don't get so much weightage, because when you go for your MS, especially for, in computer science or data science or even mechanical engineering, they are more interested in knowing how good you are in that area. See, I think this is again something that we have to understand. When you go for MBA or you go for management side, you're a generalist. When you go for MS in this area, you're a specialist. A generalist is supposed to know something about everything. A specialist is supposed to know everything about one thing. So when you are writing an SOP for a specialist role, why are you telling me about your life? Why are you telling me about your extracurricular? Why are you telling me what you've done for the society? You tell me how good you are in research. But when you are going for MBA, one of the things I keep saying, as a MBA, I might join ITC, sell cigarettes. Next day, I might resign from ITC, join Apollo Hospital, and I sell cancer treatments to all those idiots who got cancer by smoking the cigarette I sold yesterday.
True.
So I'm a generalist. There, multiple dimensions of us matter. So in the SOP, in your essays, you talk about what your contribution to the society is. You talk about your leadership role. You talk about your everything you can. So I think there, the degree of introspection that is required is much, much higher than here. And one should recognize, therefore, what program they are, applying to before they decide what should be documented.
If I'm applying for MIM right in between, then what do I do, sir?
No, see, MIM is management.
Still, it is management.
It's still management. But having said that, let me talk about my view on IIM. I'm against IIM. See, during the olden times, people used to go to MIM because they wanted to leave India and go to the USA, but they were not interested in technology. But we had to go for technology because we wanted a STEM program, because STEM people get 3 years of OPT. But they were not interested in that. So they wanted to take a program which is simple. MIM is one such. It's a simple program. It's not too complex. Okay. Now, but MIM became more popular in the European countries. But having said that, I am against MIM even now in all these countries. Why? Because one of the things that we need to recognize is today, if you are a master's and you need a job, the degree of depth of knowledge that the companies are demanding is much higher. You cannot have a superficial knowledge. Previously, people would take a MIM program, join some consultancy firms, or get some jobs and walk away. Today, there are a lot of barriers. Consultancy firms are being strangled. All right. Similarly, the depth interviews are becoming longer. Why? Even in India, interviews are becoming longer. You are from Geetham, speak to your juniors who are there. Probably you would have had a technical interview for 10 minutes. Today, kids are having interview going for 30 to 40 minutes.
They have that much time?
Oh, yes. Companies now are looking at it in depth because they are ready to pay more as well. All right. So the bottom line here is today, when our kids go abroad, they should be very clear their focus is jobs, because without jobs, they are not going to get the PR. And things are going to become tougher. So they should do anything and everything to get themselves a job, not just a degree. To believe the fact that I will go to the US, I will go to UK and somehow manage, that is not going to happen.
So
the depth of knowledge is required. And I have kids with 4 GPA not having knowledge. All right. So getting a 4 GPA in US is not very tough. Especially, there are colleges where 4 GPA is tough, but most of the colleges 4 GPA is okay. But they can't then look back and say, look, I did all this hard work, I got 4 GPA, yet I did not get a job. You did not get a job because you bloody concentrate only on GPA. You continue to be an Indian student. You can't do that. You have to go there. You get a lot of time. Use the time productively. For example, in the US, an average student will have 9 hours of classes per week.
That's all.
Yeah, in India, bloody, we do that per day.
9 hours per week, that's all.
That's all. 9 hours. The rest of the time is yours. You do what you think is right. There are kids who can while it away. There are kids who probably will do part-time. There are kids who will sit in the research place, do some research. There are kids who will go and do internships. Use the time productively.
So part-time is illegal.
No. I think that's not really true. Part-time, no country says part-time is legal. There are rules. For example, in the US, you are allowed part-time within the campus, not outside the campus.
So in campus, you can still go and do part-time.
Yes, that's even now 20 hours per week you can do. What Indians have been doing is very simple. They have been doing inside, not all Indians, right? Inside they have been working
For 20 hours.
20 hours, and then they have been working outside too and taking money in cash.
Like in a petrol bunk or a restaurant.
Anything, taking money in cash, all right? Or working as accountants, filling Excels, documenting things. Now, obviously, when they prefer working in campus for one reason, it's illegal. Therefore, they get higher per hour money.
Wage.
When you go outside, you know it's illegal. The guy who is employing you also knows it's illegal. So, obviously, he's going to exploit you. He's not even going to give you on the minimum wages, but good enough. It's still extra money. Now, that part is being cut off. But having said that, remember, this is only in the US. In UK, legally, you are allowed to work outside the campus too. So every country has a different.
Is it the same with Australia also, sir?
Australia, again, you can work outside. So the point is, every country has a different rule as to how many hours of work you can work, where you can work. But coming back to the US, to say that working part-time is illegal, that's not really true. Within the campus, legally, you are allowed to work for so many hours.
So now that you mentioned about the part-time jobs, there are also these concepts of teaching assistantships and all of that.
Yeah.
They pay well. Sometimes you even get discounted fees, scholarships. So what is this concept? Can you briefly touch upon them, sir?
See, there are a lot of roles one can play when you are in the college. And this is not limited only to the US. It's true for all the countries. One is, of course, the part-time jobs where you are doing something in the campus or etc. I can be a person who is assisting my professor in research. Then I become a research assistant. All right. Now, understand the fact that professors are involved in real research, but they can't do it alone. They need people to assist them. It could be in doing a little more research. It could be in documentation, etc.
Some kind of dirty work sometimes.
Most of them are going to be that way. All right. So if I am a professor and I take you to help me assist in my research, then you are my research assistant. Now, I can take another student who will help me evaluate the papers, go for doubt clarification classes. I don't want to stand there doing invigilation like most of the Indian colleges.
Like a junior lecturer.
Yeah. I will take who is known as my teaching assistant. He's a TA. But apart from that, in departmental administrative work, I might also have assistants who are known as GAs, graduate assistants.
Okay.
All right. Now, all these three come with their own set of benefits. Graduate assistants, your per hour cost is much higher than what you will get part-time outside. TAs and RAs, for all we know, it might cover your complete fee as well. But getting RA and TA is something that you have to consciously build your profile towards.
Very competitive.
They're not very tough, but unfortunately, Indian kids don't do it. For example, let us say you are in college, you are in Geetam, and you are sure you want to go abroad, you're a good student. Fantastic. Don't stop at there. Publish a paper. So, because in your application, if you're able to show the fact that you have a research inclination, you understand how the research is done. And you can exhibit the fact that the research that you've done is a rigorous one, not a superficial one. Then what might happen is the professor might decide to interview you.
For the research control.
You're still in India. They are there. They're just evaluating your application. They'll interview you. They'll like you. They'll offer RA even before you start your journey. All right. Now, if you are able to exhibit good language skills, you're done well in IELTS speaking especially. You have a bit of experience in having taught. All right. TA is a shot. But normally, RA, TA is very tough to get while you're in India. much easier while you are there, because when you are there, professor gets to know of
See
you.
you.
Yeah. But yeah, RATA, one has to fight towards. A lot of my students have got RATA. But I know of only one case of a lady who went to Ohio State University from here, who got RA directly. But most of the kids actually go there, because even there, it makes logical also. Professors will first prefer the senior students, second year master students, and then come to the first year master students. So yeah, RATA is very prestigious as well.
So one of my juniors actually went to the US, joined a master's, got an RA, and then somehow the professor liked him and offered him a PhD, straightforward. And then he did not need to do any more masters, and the fees is cancelled. So you do not need to pay anything now. Next 5 years, you're paid back as a PhD assistant, PhD fellow. So what is this concept?
I think one of the things that we need to recognize is PhD is not over masters. PhD is equal to masters in the sense in their education level.
Is it the same in India also?
No, India. I'll come to that. In Andhra University, you can't do PhD without doing your masters
Or MPhil, whatever.
Yeah. But there are universities in India where you don't need to do masters before you do PhD. We are following the US model. So if I am a bachelor student and I'm interested in research, can I directly apply for PhD in the US? Answer is yes.
Interesting.
In Germany, I can't. Germany, you have to take the master's route. So every country has a different definition. I normally do not encourage students to go for PhD directly, unless and until in their profile, I'm convinced that they understand what research is.
So you're saying they should be James Bond?
It's very rigorous. One of my kids, she was a topper of Geetam, biotechnology. She went to the US for PhD, and she told me 7 years of her life were the worst. She finished PhD, thankfully. But she said she never, she underestimated what PhD is all about. So in India, unfortunately, unless until you come from very select colleges, let's say IITs, we don't know what research is. Our research is very superficial. Our research is not very rigorous. In US, in Europe, it's much more so actually. All right. So what I normally tell the kids is very simple. You go for your masters. While you are doing for masters, take one course which is research oriented. Test the waters. If you think that research is something that you're enjoying and you can do it, then speak to the professors. And yes, it is not very tough if you are good to convert your masters into PhD program, because all the students who are going for PhD in the first year, they'll sit in the master's class. When I was at IIC Bangalore, I was doing my MTech. There were 2 girls. Both of them were doing actually PhDs.
Sitting in your class?
Yeah, they were in the class because the first year is the same curriculum. All right. So what PhD does is it takes it a little forward. So 2 learnings. Number 1, you don't really need masters to do PhD. You can apply for PhD directly, but it's not easy to get an admit because you should have built the profile accordingly. Second one, it's not very tough if you are good and you're able to convince the professor to convert masters into PhD.
Sir, now the most hot topic that is what we're going to touch. Trump. A lot of aeroplanes are coming to India, military planes, spending thousands of dollars on each deportee. Lot of fear in the market out there. Parents here are thinking, should I even send my kids now? So there's a lot happening around just Trump. Whenever Trump comes, all this happens. So what is your take and what are your insights that we should pick from this conversation about Trump and the situation that's going on?
I think President Trump, from Indian student perspective, we should look at him in 2 ways. One is as an immigrant. The other is a person who wants a job there. President Trump is going to be very pro-job. Even during his first tenure, when he was a president, the job market was actually doing very well. Republicans anyway have a positive bias for the industry in terms of lower taxes. So I see the economy improving. I think we also have to understand that when he, along with Elon Musk, they are cutting the bureaucracy, it's not that they are removing those roles. Majority of the roles will flow back to the private sector. And Indian students would always have a positive chances in private sector rather than in the government. So whatever developments are happening, in my view, is going to be positive. Thankfully, I believe this is the second tenure of President Trump. Therefore, it's lesser uncertain. In the first tenure, for example, he did propose steps to stop H4 visa people from getting the EAD. EAD is the document required for them to work.
What is H4, sir?
I think, let us say I'm in the US. I am in H1B visa. H1B visa is basically a work visa. It is a non-immigrant work visa. I'm married to someone. My wife here is going to be in a dependent visa. That is the H4 visa. Now, understand how the whole thing worked out. Previously, what would happen is in India, and if I have a daughter, all right, my dream son-in-law would be a US citizen, a US person who is working. And there too, citizen, good. If not citizen, H1. So, who is my daughter? If you look at Andhra and Telangana, in all likeliness, she is going to be engineer. Computer science area, worked in TCS, Wipros, etc. Now, when she gets married and goes to US, she goes in H4 visa. Now, once in US, she then looks for a job because she already has job experience in India, and then she takes up an IT job. Now, when Trump comes in, what did he do? He said, why are we giving them an opportunity to work? He wanted to remove that. Now, there's a very good chance he might actually exercise that.
So he hasn't done that?
No, not so far. In all chances, he will do, because the second tenure, what he seems to be doing is to see that he is making whatever steps he did earlier being introduced in such a way they don't fail. Because last time when he introduced it, court blocked it. All right. So this time he's approaching it a little more professionally. If that were to happen, what is going to happen is H4 visa people will not be able to getting the job. Where will the jobs go? They will come to the market. Who will benefit?
H1Bs.
Your F1 visa guys.
It's true.
Because these guys are paid a little lower than the H1Bs guys. All right. So
during the OPT period, you're saying?
During the OPT period. That's right. So my view is that Trump is going to be a bloody good news for students, especially good students. And this I'm going to quantify by talking about the second part of it. What is he doing for the immigrants? Let's be very clear, all that we talk about deportation, hundreds of people coming in 3 different planes, these were all illegal immigrants. They did not enter the US like our students enter through F1 visa. Our kids went legally. They got the visa. They went there and they stuck to the rules. Yes, there were few kids who broke certain rules. For example, they worked outside and they got caught. And the cost of getting caught is deportation. So if you are a person going to the US, adhering to the rules, you don't need to be worried about. But that is not to say that you will not feel the heat, all right? That is where you need to be bright enough to understand which university to go, avoid states where the bias is very apparent. If you were to protect yourself, I think you will be safe. But at the same time, take benefit of what Trump is going to do for the economy. But like every country, and this is not just limited to the US, every country is now saying that once you come in, I don't want you to continue staying here because it's impacting my society. But if you're good, I'll allow you to. So what is going to happen is previously any Tom, Dick and Harry could think of going there, studying in any college, going through consultant rules, getting some job, then getting H1B visa, getting a PR. Now the scrutiny is going to increase at every stage. So you better be good, work hard now, get a good profile, go to a decent college, work hard there, get into good company, work hard there. So that is a must. You do all that, you're very lucky. Why? Because whatever steps Trump and other countries are, Trump and presidents of other countries are doing is going to make your competition lesser. People who are good are not going to be given an opportunity. So if you're good, your probability has just gone up.
So you're saying if you're good, it is all good.
It's fantastic news.
So, but tell me this, you mentioned that there are different types of illegal immigrant aspects here. So I see 3 types here. Can you explain all these 3 types? 1, who have entered the country illegally, 2, who are working illegally, and 3, who are overstaying illegally. So can you just give us a quick glance into these 3?
I think entering the country illegally is a big problem.
Like the donkey, the Shah Rukh Khan donkey.
Yeah. And unfortunately, in quite a few Indian states, especially Punjab and all that, where they look at that as a chance to live, they take that extreme risk of going there. Thankfully, I would say that in Telugu speaking states,
I don't.
it's
see
not
any.
as much because our kids still have some hope. We create jobs. All right. You say that thanks to our English thing, you say thanks to the technological benefits,
STEM.
whatever.
Hmm.
So we don't normally take that path. It's not to say it doesn't happen, it happens, but not as much. The second one, what you talked about, working illegally, that was very common because everyone used to do that. Many Indians have done that. Now it's becoming tighter. Learning is don't do it.
Be careful.
People used to do that because it was a way of controlling their budget. Now you have to discover different ways of controlling your budget. For example, see to it that you are not picking up a college which is very expensive. Similarly, see to it that you are fighting hard to get some scholarships if you can without compromising on the college. So you need to use that path.
So can I do a freelancing job? Let's say I go on to a Elance website, freelance website, build a website for someone. Is that
See, by law, you are not allowed to work outside the campus. That does not mean physically be there. You are, there's a money transaction which is happening.
that should only come from the campus?
If you are saying that you're going to do involuntary work, you are welcome. Money transaction is strict.
Got it.
And previously, they used to avoid that by multiple routes. For example, taking cash. Sometimes there are companies which would pay in India, geography.
To someone here?
Yeah, which is, Hawala route types. So we were very innovative in getting that done, but it's dangerous. The third one which you talk about need not happen through F1 route. There are people who go to the US or other countries as tourists and they become invisible. There are a lot of kids from few states in India who go to the US. Once they get the visa, they land there and they simply vanish.
I've heard of a lot of movie industry people doing that.
Not just that, a lot of sports side where they're not actually doing well in India. And I think this is very common, this is not just for Indians. There are a lot of people. Previously, a lot of communist country people would go to capitalistic countries like US and vanish away. They are done. What does it mean done? That means they're always going to live in fear.
Someone will report them.
If they are reported, they're deported. It's fear. But then that's what desperation allows one to do. I'm hoping the fact that our kids won't do that.
So, but with all of this chaos going on, you say that for students, it's going to be a great opportunity.
Good students.
Good students.
Yeah.
I'll underline that word. But now, let's say, for example, I'm someone who is earning like 15 lakhs, 20 lakhs package, decent 3-4 years of experience, probably wants to do an MBA, maybe masters and PhD, go into Silicon Valley and do something big. This is my dream. Now, should I quit my decently paying good job in Hyderabad and go there with all the chaos and uncertainty? Or should I just stick to Hyderabad and chill in Gachibowli?
Yesterday, I was interacting with someone who was there working in the IT industry for 14 years. And she was fired in the US.
You mentioned the testing.
Yeah, the testing girl. The point is, if the nature of job you are doing right now is a job which might not exist after 2 years, even if you're earning 14, 15, you better make a shift now. My greatest concern today is I see parents not worried that their kid has got a job of 3 lakh, 4 lakh in TCS, Wipros, etc. They have this pride and they think by them advising the students to stick to these jobs, they are giving the right advice. My greatest fear is these jobs are not going to be there 2 years, 3 years from now. And suddenly these kids are going to find themselves with experience which has no value.
No new skill.
They have not developed any skill. I would rather recommend them to push their kids, either in India or abroad, into the area which is related to evolving technologies now, so that they are ready for the future jobs.
So can you name 2-3 courses, both in India and in the US, so that our audience can really pick the cue from there?
I think it's obvious and many people know of it. If you are in the technology side, AI, ML, data science, cyber security, cloud computing, they're doing very well. Mechanical engineering, robotics is doing very well. Automation related things, you have aerospace engineering. People still in mechanical. Yesterday I was talking to a kid who was talking about he wanted to do automotive engineering. I said, what the shit are you talking about? Automotive is going in more electrical engineering way,
Correct.
It's no more a mechanical offering as it goes by. So I think kids have to be aware where the changes are happening. Similarly, if you were to look at civil engineering, environment is picking up in a big way. But at the same time, kids also have to understand, and this is where news becomes important. The other day, a kid said, I want to do environmental engineering. I said, what the shit are you talking about? Trump is screwing the environment.
But in India, Nirmala Sitharaman just announced a big
You are
budget.
right, but India doesn't put money where it wants. It talks about.
Hmm.
You talk about environment, you're not investing in environment. US at least used to invest in environment, but now Trump is saying, why environment?
He just reintroduced plastic straws.
Yes. And forget that, he's talking about coal and petroleum back in action.
Yes.
And how can you go and do your master's in environment where you're starting your master's under Trump and ending under Trump?
Hmm.
You understand? So the point is that one of the very important points that the student has to understand is that the list that you ask for itself is a dynamic list. But I don't think there's anyone
That debate.
today has a doubt that for the next couple of years, artificial intelligence is going to be the most exciting area to be.
Hmm.
So what is the critical learning? If I have a son of mine who is working in a bloody job, which is not an evolving job, and I encourage him to stay in the job, I am killing his career. I should rather encourage him to pick up the evolving technology skill and be ready. Because right now, the demand for AI is huge, but supply is not there. But everyone is moving towards AI. 3 years from now,
Supply is
demand will continue to grow, but supply would have gone exponentially. And the kids would have lost out the entry timing. So I strongly believe that whether you're a mechanical engineer, whether you're an electrical engineer, whether you're a computer science engineer, if your job is already in this evolving area, stick to it. Even if the salary is low. But if your job is in an area which can be replaced, how much ever salary you're getting right now, tomorrow
Doesn't
you may
matter.
not.
So tell me this. I took the decision that I want to do a higher education program, but I don't want to go to US. I have my girlfriend here, I have my family here, I don't want to go anywhere else. So what are the good options that are coming up in India for us?
Oh, we have fabulous options. As long as you are very good.
So
See,
you
the
are saying
point-
always that very good part is always
Yes,
there.
the point in India is that the population is so huge. It's not that IITs are not good. IITs are fantastic. But can you get into IIT is the question. It is not that new age universities like Ashoka, etc. are not doing work. They are doing. But look very carefully. Only the top 10 or 1% of the students are getting the attention. The rest are paying for that 1%. All right. So the fact of the matter is, if you are exceptionally good, I had a student of mine, SRM, not even SRM Chennai, it's SRM Amravati. But the good thing is SRM Amravati, they have a tie-up with institutions. So this gentleman with 9.3 GPA, during the last semester, he went to University of California, Berkeley as a transfer student. But once he went there, he saw to it that he is doing internships in,
Valley.
AI, etc., Valley. And then with this profile, he ended up publishing papers there. With this profile, he was able to get into Purdue, etc. How many universities do that? I ask you one more question. Forget about new age universities, etc., where you are among the top 1. IITs, NITs, unless and until James Bond, anyway, you're not getting in. And other question I ask is, are IITs really very good? Because the point that one has to understand is IITs are very good for BTechs. They're not very good for MTech.
True.
In fact, BTech students of IIT very rarely do MTech in IITs.
Absolutely.
All right. Best of the best professors go to BTech, not for MTech. In fact, BTech students of IITs are much better than MTech students of IIT.
Absolutely.
So the point that we need to understand is we cannot say, as since a kid I wanted IIT, I did not get into BTech, therefore I'm going for
Masters.
MTech. Yeah, people will respect you for your BTech. They will not respect you for your MTech. So the bottom line is this. Getting into, if you have the ability to get into the best of the best college in India, which is not going to be easy, then maybe you can think of staying back in India, spend quality time with your girlfriend. Otherwise, change your bloody girlfriend.
So can I do both? Can I do my job, parallelly do an online degree?
Education is not just about knowledge. Why do you want to do online degree when you can get everything in YouTube? See, education is
I'll
about
get a
experience.
certificate, sir. I'll get a certificate with
No.
stamp, tappa laga ke.
Understood. But if you notice, most of the companies today don't need the certificate. During the interview, you're able to impress them. They're not even worried about your degree.
By the way, I haven't taken the degree from my college yet.
No, you should, because India is still in the past, all right? But it's changing. But the point I'm trying to make you understand is that education is about experience. The second thing that you need to understand, and this is very, very important, here, India does not respect the teachers. I was doing a training for faculty, newly recruited faculty at Vignan University, Guntur. And they had recruited about 11 to 12 people from IITs and NITs. And I was doing a training to train them on public speaking and class management, etc. And Vice Chancellor was sitting there. I asked them to come out of the dais one by one and introduce themselves and also talk about why they entered the field of education. You know, one of the common themes, I tried for a job elsewhere,
Did not get
did
it.
not get it.
So I'm
So I'm temporarily here.
So temporarily, officially.
Temporarily here. They didn't even have the degree of maturity to understand that you can't say that in front of your boss's boss who is sitting in front of you. The point is, how do you get good faculty especially in the area of computer science, where if the faculty is good, then industry would have lapped it up with a salary which is 10 times what he will get in a faculty. So most of the faculty are not faculty by choice, are not practical enough that industry will find any value.
Absolutely.
Then how the shit should we think that they can impart that practicality through teaching
To the students. Fair enough, sir.
So, I know in Gayatri Vidya Parishad, I'm really proud, they attempted something. They attempted to get people from the industry. And then, when government changed, they put a cap on the salaries, on the fees.
So they can't pay now anymore.
They had to let them go. Because you want people to come from the industry, you have to pay shitload of money. But if you're not making shitload of money, then how do you pay shitload of money? All right. So the point is, even progressive managements, when they're trying to do something good, if the society, when I say society, government obviously plays the most important role, does not support, we are not going to have teachers who are good. If the teachers are not good, then how will the degree be good?
Fair enough, sir.
So I think, unfortunately, everything boils down to the fact that students want good jobs, but industry says we need good engineers, and good engineers need good knowledge. But if education system in India cannot support,
The teachers are not getting good.
Indians are not going to stay back in India and say Bharat Mata ki jai. They'll go outside. They'll say Bharat Mata ki jai. But they will go outside.
So now, let's switch into your teacher mode. Now I want you to become the teacher in this role. So now I want to get into a good college. What are the exams? What are the scores that I need to aim for? At what time should I start my preparation?
You mean for abroad education?
For any kind of education, let's say GATE, GMAT, CAT, you have been through all these exams. Either you have taken them or you
Okay.
can.
I started preparing personally for GATE when I was in the second year itself.
Okay, second year of engineering.
Yeah.
Okay.
Probably that's the reason why I cracked it in the first attempt, which is what GATE is supposed to be. These days, I see people taking a break and preparing for GATE like we used to prepare for civil services, which is stupid, actually. GATE is vast, and it's not an easy exam. So, one has to be regular, because at the end of the day, GATE is testing your complete engineering knowledge. So, you need to go a little deeper than what your college might be
Teaching.
projecting you. So, that's a continuous process. But let us say you want to go abroad. The rule is very simple. The admission process mostly starts 1 year before that. So if you are a student planning to go, let us say, in September of 2026, that is, you're graduating in 25 or 26 May, all right? The admission process starts in October of 25.
So I should
1
start
year.
in my third year itself.
1 year. But application process, which means before that, you need to keep everything ready. So if you notice, most of the countries, they were going to give you admission on basis of your third year results. They're not going to wait for your engineering to be over. By then, you know your fate. So third year result, number one, has to be good.
Very good.
Yeah. You have to see that you're maintaining decent GPA.
Clear all backlogs by then?
Preferably not have backlogs. Backlog is a papa. All right? Because colleges understand when the colleges ask you a mark sheet, they're not asking you a comprehensive mark sheet. They're asking you a semester-wise mark sheet. They'll ask you if you have a backlog, you written the test, they need the backlog mark sheet too. They're not just counting the backlogs, they're also counting how many times you've attempted it. For example, one subject, you failed twice, it's one backlog, but 2 attempts. Okay? So they are counting every aspect of it. So as few, preferably no backlog, you're a good student. And then you improve on it by doing one good project, or not something that you have borrowed from your seniors, but you're genuinely doing it. See if you can increase the depth, or publish it if you can. Then it improves the chance of your scholarships, etc. Now, when it comes to the test, there are 2 types of tests. One is your English proficiency. Now, whether you want to go to Germany, you go to most of the countries, English is the mode of teaching. So they want to be comfortable that when you come there, you'll be able to understand, appreciate, etc. Now, in South India, we are comfortable with English. Now, many of my students don't have the confidence in English. All right. But believe me, these students have not met many of my students in North India. When these guys meet them, these guys will think they are the Ollards of William Shakespeare. All right. In North India, unfortunately, for whatever the comfort in English, they have not been able to develop. Now, the point here is that our kids know English, but they're not confident. But they still have to exhibit the fact that they have the comfort. So they have to write few exams. These are known as English proficiency test. You need to write one. It could be TOEFL, it could be IELTS. Of late, there are few other exams like Duolingo has come up. PTE was an exam for Australia, it is there. In fact, few colleges have now started introducing a few tests which they themselves conduct on English.
Got it.
All right. But yes, there are few countries, especially in the UK, there are few colleges, even in the US, where they're okay if you come from what is known as MAI, that is medium of instruction is English. So you don't necessarily need these tests.
So throughout your education has to be in English.
Yeah. But I strongly advocate people that they should write one of these tests, because these tests are not just about admission.
Visa.
As much as you need to give the confidence to the college that you can understand, you need to give to the visa people that you can adjust in the society. So I strongly advocate them to write this. The only exception I make is in UK, because in UK even visa people recognize the fact that if you're coming from English medium education in India, you will survive there.
Got it.
But there are certain other tests which are not go, no go. What does go, no go mean? In IELTS, if I am saying that you need to have 6.5 overall. Now, IELTS is out of 9. Most of the colleges will ask for 6.5. There are a few good colleges which might ask for 7.5 as well. Northeastern University, for example, does for a few of its programs. But 6.5 is mostly the Lakshman Rekha. But Lakshman Rekha does not come only in overall score. Now, when you talk about English, like any other language, reading, writing, listening, and speaking, there are 4 skills. Now, most of the colleges will demand that you have to have a minimum of 6 in each. So you cannot say, I have 9 in reading, but I don't know how to speak. Then what's the use? All right. So minimum thing is 6 in each, but overall you should reach 6.5.
So task-wise cutoff is also there.
Is there. Most of the colleges will ask for it. Now, you come and say, but sir, I have 7. I will say, sweetheart, then you can understand it. You say, sir, my friend has 8. Oh, great. He can also understand, but you can also understand. So I'm happy with you itself. So these are go, no go, which means you have the minimum. It's okay.
Not to fight for it.
You don't need to necessarily fight for something more. You fight it, you get it, fantastic. I'll also applaud you, but it's not going to be material. But there are certain tests like GRE or GMAT, or for undergraduation we have STEP or we have SAT, which are value enhancers, which means doing well here will make your admission chances better. Why? Because these tests are not just language tests. They exhibit your problem-solving abilities. They exhibit your logical comprehension abilities. So there, the higher the score you have, it can improve your profile. Sometimes I have students who have screwed up something, maybe the GPA is a little on the lower side. I tell them, you score higher in GRE, it might help you compensate for the drawback
GPS.
here. Now, these are not go, no go. Higher your score, the better the talent you have. All right. So these are the exams, all these exams. Surely one of these, probably even this, you should be ready 1 year before the start of the program. So 3rd year is the most critical time.
So my 3rd year is when I get into a course to solve this, or can I do it on my own via YouTube lessons?
Of course you can do it, but you will not do it. Nah.
You always need someone holding the stick for you.
No, the point here is, I think Indian education system, especially Andhra Telangana education system, we are spoon-fed. It's changing, but we are still like that. Not many are disciplined. If you are disciplined,
Also research. You need to do your research for that.
no, that is also, see, everything is there. You have the tools also. ChatGPT is also there. But you will not even know what prompt to ask them. You ask garbage, it will give you garbage. So the point here is, if you are disciplined, people ask me, why is that I did not start with CAT, GRE, etc. I started with the school. I had never attended a coaching center. I prepared for GATE on my own. I prepared for civil service on my own. I prepared for my GRE. I didn't know how a coaching center works. I had to understand it before starting it. All right.
True.
So I am disciplined. I do a lot of research. I do a lot of note taking. I'm patient. Now, unfortunately, I have not found that in many students. But you have to interact with few of the kids who come from A level thing, IB. They are good. They do a lot of their own work. I sometimes find students who are going for my undergraduation program more knowledgeable than people who are going for masters. Masters, common reference is my friend went there. Bloody, your friend might have gone 10 years back. Your friend might have gone when Biden was the president. Now Trump is the president. They forget all that. All right. So the point here is that if you are disciplined enough, everything is there in front of you. You do not need to spend 1 paisa for training.
What are ideal scores, sir, for GRE, GMAT?
It's a tough question. The reason I say is that cutoffs differ from college to college. In fact, college like MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, does not even demand GRE. It says, I'm going to look at your research profile. Why am I interested in your logical ability, etc. If your research is good. But most of the time, good colleges will demand at least 308, 309 in GRE. But let's not forget, after COVID or during the COVID, a lot of copying is happening in GRE. Right? So there are kids who are scoring 320, 322 in GRE. Therefore, the importance of GRE has actually gone down. ETS is making hell of money. They have reduced the duration, increased the number of slots. Not that they're not aware of the shit, but it still continues. And because it's an easy way out, many students are writing GRE because parents are thinking that if I pay for someone to write the GRE, my kid's future will improve. And ETS then comes and publicizes the fact that the GRE attempters have increased. Obviously, it will increase if you take this pathway. But fact is, many colleges are now moving away from GRE. ASU, for example, has said that I will not accept GRE at home. So, bottom line,
GRE at home.
Yeah, copying is happening at GRE.
So you have to go there and take the GRE?
If you are doing that, then ASU says that it's more authentic. So I'll accept it. All right, because copying is not happening at the center. So the bottom line is, it's now, we can't say therefore what is the right score, but there are colleges which are still saying that I need 317 for you to apply. So the higher the better. All right. Again, the SAT, higher the better. Normally, 1250, 1300 is a decent thing, but let's not forget, SAT is now not a compulsory part of the admission. SAT is an exam which is required for undergraduation, But what happened was that...
you see a lot of people going for SAT these days for undergraduation?
From India, they'd still go.
From our 2 states?
Yeah, it's increasing. It's increasing tremendously. The reason, I'll come to that also. In USA, what happened is SAT was a part for the admission, but then poor, especially the Anglo-Africans, etc., they went to the court and said that, look, people who are able to attend the coaching center for SAT are getting better scores SAT, therefore they have the benefit. And Supreme Court concurred, they said SAT cannot be a part of the admission process.
Should we do this for our IITs too?
The
whole Narayanas Chaitanyas will close off.
It will close. But then, see, how do you then screen? All right, you have to something. So, but SAT, Indians write because SAT becomes good for scholarships.
Nice. So, it is not for the admission process, but for the scholarships.
We can use SAT for strengthening the admission process, but Indians write it more for scholarships, and it is increasing. It is increasing for many reasons. Number one, the type of experience, like for example, I have a student of mine who went to North Carolina State University. She went for chemical engineering. First year, she takes up a leadership position. Between the first year and second year, she actually goes for internships. She starts taking extra course in the second year. Now tell me, which university in India does that?
Maybe one or two. BITS Pilani does it. Practice school. Bunch of
Yeah,
advice.
when I was in CRISIL, we used to have students from BITS planning come to us for 6 months.
During the second year.
Even the final year.
Hmm.
We used to use
Final
them for,
anyway happens, sir.
yeah,
But
we used to
second-
use them for xeroxing papers, typing our reports.
Not anymore.
But no. The fact is, when you make it a law that everyone has to go through it, not everyone can get
Get the best out of it.
True. All right. So I'm not demeaning it. There are good students who are going to good companies who are benefiting from it. And I'm not saying that these kids who came to CRISIL did not get anything out of CRISIL. They did photocopying, but they did a lot of research too. So a lot of skills. And CRISIL is a very big brand for them also, right?
Absolutely.
But the bottom line I'm trying to make you understand is that the avenues which are offered abroad are more.
True. That is that.
Okay. So bottom line is that when they go abroad and with parents willing to spend their money, it makes sense. But there's one more important learning. If I have a kid, I have two choices. I can send him to undergraduation abroad, or I can do undergraduation here and then do masters in USA. See, the point that you need to understand is, why do we do masters? Majority of the Indians do masters because they want to migrate to USA.
Because you can't get a job directly there.
Yeah. All right. So you're spending 4 years of life here and the fees. And then you're spending, let's say, 20 lakhs minimum. Then you're sending them to the US and spending another 40 lakhs or 50 lakhs. You're spending, let's say, therefore, around 70, 80 lakhs.
Over 6 years.
Yeah. Instead, send the child for undergraduation. After undergraduation, you'll anyway get a bloody good job. That is the reason why majority of the people don't do masters anyway.
True, sir. Actually, the locals do not do a lot of masters there.
And
it's only us and Chinese.
That is because we want to go there. So if you can send them for undergraduation, you are spending 4 years, you're spending more money. All right. But after that, masters is not a rush, na.
Fair enough.
So why don't, but yes, when I meet a kid for undergraduation, I try to understand that the kid is mature enough.
That's important because they are going
Maturity
far
is
from home
required.
at a young age.
Yeah, maturity is required. But then, if not US, then why not UK? Connectivity is good.
Singapore?
And
US?
Yes.
NTU?
You have options. So I think parents are also being aware of these now, and that is going to increase. Even if the new age universities come and talk about what they're doing, because one thing in India you cannot avoid, huge intakes. Because Indian population is like that.
True. So before we wrap up, now we have discussed so much on education, so many insights for parents, for students, for many people about the policies that Trump is doing. I would like to touch upon one small cult of people like you and me, entrepreneurs. So there are one or two incidents between us that happened at different points of time in our lives that has really given me some insight that I've used it in my own life. I'll give you one or two examples. This was in 2010 or 11, I believe. We were in CAT classes. In one class, like any other class, you would spend 10 minutes on some motivational, inspirational content and the rest on the subject. So in that class, you told me about the day when you wanted to go sip a coffee at Taj, but you don't have money for it. Coffee at Taj is what? 200 rupees, 300 rupees. But you still wanted to go there with the last penny that you had and then sip that coffee, enjoyed that moment, took that confidence in and came out. So after that very class, you know what I did? I never told this to anyone. I went to one of the best saloons I could spend money on with all the money I had. Back in the day, we used to spend 20 rupees for a haircut. So I was okay to spend 120, 150 rupees that day. I got the best possible haircut, took that confidence in and started doing it every time next. So this has really boosted my confidence up. So like this, one or two incidents or one or two insights that you can share with aspiring entrepreneurs, students or anyone from a confidence building aspect to anything else too.
There have been many incidences in my life. I didn't know how to use knife and fork, for example. No one had taught me.
By the way, this is also something that I got to learn from you. So you brought in an etiquette lesson altogether.
Yeah. See, the thing is that as entrepreneurs, I think we need to understand and appreciate that we are going to meet people from different backgrounds, coming from different habits. And we should know something about that too. You know, I teach my kids, GRE kids and all that about wine.
Wine. But are parents okay with it?
Nah, I tell them that be little sensitive to the fact that your parents might not be okay with it. But I'm not encouraging them to drink it. I'm encouraging them to know about it.
Hmm.
Because when they go abroad, one of the very common gifts that they might give to the professors is a mind bottle.
Is it? So you get invited to someone's home, you take a bottle.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So they should know. So I am not saying that we change our values. I'm not saying that you cross a line. But that does not mean you don't learn about what lies on the other side of the line.
Hmm.
And as entrepreneurs, I think that is a very important thing for us to learn. We raised funds some time back, one of the investors of Malayalam, Manorama, etc. But before we raised the funds, we met so many people for raising funds. And I'm sure you would have gone through the same thing. We meet people and everyone has a different view about what you should do in the business. We should not enter a room thinking that lecture hi dega. Because maybe in that lecture there's a truth that's hidden there.
Are you willing to listen?
Yeah. Listen, think, and then discard if required.
Hmm.
But listen. I think what these experiences, especially when you're down in confidence. I don't know, there was a time when I would go to high-end saloon. Now I'm very comfortable going to an ordinary saloon.
Once you reach there, you're okay with
Now
anything.
you're okay.
Yes.
Okay, when I bought a BMW, my first car BMW was BMW 5 directly. I did not buy 1, I did not buy 3, I went directly to 5, all right?
And you used to park it in the Ramatakis Road.
Oh, okay, that's the place where we work. So. But the fact of the matter is, today I enjoy riding bike more. I had never ridden a bike till about COVID after time. I enjoy that more, Maybe it's a state of traffic affairs that we're talking about in India. But the point is, the most important thing in life is confidence.
Hmm.
Do whatever is necessary to build a bloody confidence. And if confidence comes through money, then fight for money. We should not be like our parents or their generation, where we want money, but will not talk about money.
Unfortunate reality in this country, sir.
Which is
Still we see people who earn money as kuch to kar rahe hai banda.
Yeah, but everyone dil mein to hai na.
Sabko chahiye.
Chahiye.
But not really on the other side.
One of the examples I cite, there was this guy who was talking about, I will not take dowry, one of my relatives. But when the time came to look for a girl for the son, he only looked at rich girls.
I'm not taking dowry, but I want rich girl.
No, beauty is once you get married to the rich girl, dowry will automatically come. Na?
That is not a dowry anymore, no.
It's no worry. So the point I'm trying to make is, I think that attitude is changing. People now at least are a little vocal about what they want. But I think the generation also have to understand the fact that competition that they are facing is phenomenal. What they dream, if they want to live that dream, they need to back it up more than what
people think
we had to do.
But I also observe something, sir. This generation, especially people who are post 2000 born, etc., they somehow seem to be, if they are sure about what they want to do, they're pretty clear about it. They don't care about looks and feel. They don't care about other things. They have their own swag. They have their own mindset. With some people that I have seen, do you also observe the same, or do you have a different take on that?
I have a different take. I feel bad for this generation a lot. I think
Are you still teaching, sir?
Yeah.
Then you should know. You should have the visible.
I think these kids today speak a lot, yet they don't speak.
It's words.
They are projecting something that is not really true. In fact, they are forced to do that too. I know of kids who keep looking at what their friends have, not looking at what they have, their friends might not have. We were very fortunate that we did not feel that social pressure. This generation is. There are many I have come across in this generation who know what they want, they work towards it, but I know of a bigger number where they say they know what they want. But if you sit and debate with them, you find it very hollow. They don't know why they want it. They don't know how to get there. And the worst thing, they don't seek help.
Since you mentioned seeking help, also something that I saw in this generation this week, verbally, very outwards, about mental health and all of that. But still, I see a lot of things going on bad with this particular generation itself. So, what you've been teaching, you've known so many students. What's happening, and any tips and insights that you could give there?
I think people need good friends. You don't need 100 friends. You need one good friend.
Define a good friend, sir.
Let us say you are my good friend. I don't need to every day get up and say, good friend, how are you? I can wish you on one day, and when you get the message, you're happy about it. We might not have conversed for, let us say, 2-3 years, but next day, if I send for you, it seems as if we just conversed yesterday. So these are guys who you don't need to keep reminding them they're your friends. They are there.
Both of them know each other.
Yeah. And it's okay to remember the other person when you need that person. It's not seen as selfishness. They may banter, they may tease each other. Guys, बहुत selfish है, अभी बुला रहा है. But it's done in fun.
True.
They don't mind. And I think that area, I normally I say, when you come to the college, you hold people and say, we'll live together, we'll die together. Believe me, these statements are being made. But next day, they're holding one more hand and making the same bullshit promise.
True.
So I think that is an unfortunate part. I really hope that all, people in the generation, they have at least a few very strong ones whom they can be themselves without worrying about what they will think. But I don't think I have a solution, and I'm not the right expert to say that. But I can only hope that they will seek help if required be. But I do know that the forces that are there right now, there's so much of things coming in. The chances of them being under mental pressure is going to be more than what you and I have faced.
So, do you think if a student, 20-year-old student, suddenly calls you, you don't even remember that guy, and then says, sir, I need your help, what's your immediate reaction would be?
Oh yeah, sweetheart, tell me what.
So, you are willing to listen first?
Of course I'm willing to listen.
Do you think every other teacher also would be willing to listen?
I think so. See, I think there are two ways of looking at it. One, it's not that teaching is not frustrating. Sometimes it can be very frustrating. But I know of many teachers who are teachers by choice, even young ones. All right, and they genuinely love the students. I know I earlier said that there are many teachers who come without choice too, but there are many who come without choice and then fall in love also,
True. Like arranged marriage.
Yeah, and that is the way life will be happy.
True.
The point I'm trying to make is that I would like to believe, yes, but at the same time also understand that not many teachers can take it up, because with so many students around, teacher can't
They may not be mentally equipped as well.
It cannot possible. In a class, you have so many kids. Today, it's very tough to even to know who is there, who is what.
Wonderful, sir. Any last insight that you would like to give our audience, parents, teachers, even the students who are aspiring big, that this is something that you need to not miss upon?
I think at this age, chase money. I'm going to advocate them to fight for money. Money is not going to come unless until they are good. So they obviously have to be good. So I'm not saying get money by taking illegal path, legal path. And education is a very powerful tool. But at the same time, I believe the fact that this is the age when they need to explore the world. They can settle in India, but settle in India after having experienced the world outside. And if the experience is going to come through education, take it. If it is coming by travel. But don't sit in India and tell me India is great without knowing what's happening outside. Go outside. Come back to India if necessary. Tell me then India is great. I'm more convinced. And if it's not great, make it great. Because believe me, by going outside, the skills that you develop, the experience that you have will make you a better person to make your country great. So the bottom line is this: paths are there. The greatest challenge of today's generation is they have too many options.
Too many options is the problem.
Yeah. Our generation, my generation especially, I'll not use the word our generation, my generation, confusion was because we didn't have the options. Today's generation, confusion is because they have too many options. But more importantly, they have means to exercise those options. Today there are banks which will give you non-collateral loan.
True.
All right.
We had to fight.
Previously, even collateral,
For collateral, we had to fight.
we had a fight. And many people gave up the dreams of going because they were not there. Today, that's not the case. Today, if you are good, society is there. Means of publicizing. You can go to the media, talk about your challenges. People will be there to give you money. People you don't even know of.
Absolutely.
You can pull, but you have to have a message to tell. So if you're good and poor and still have a dream, talk about it. People will fund your dream. Utilize that. But most importantly, keep your mind open to various opportunities. Our kids don't even know what their seniors have done. They know one or two people experiences and they generalize those. And that is a very wrong thing, because if they have limited knowledge to take a decision, in all likeliness, the decision is going to be a bad decision. And today, the cost of bad decision is huge. And I think that is where getting the right mentors become all the more important. They don't need to search for mentors. There are many of their mentors who could be in the form of their teachers, their professors, their seniors. Channels are there, LinkedIn is there, etc. But they have to seek it.
So with all of these AI, ChatGPTs, YouTube influencers, do I even need a good advisor? Because I can get advice from everywhere. So why do I need an advisor, or what is the need for someone like you when I can get anything and everything out there?
Very true. I depend more on ChatGPT. I depend more on Googling, etc. for advice. But I know what question to ask. I know what question to ask because I read so widely. I know what are the issues that are there. But if you don't know what question to ask, no one will be able to tell you the answer. What mentors does is, for example, it's a student comes and says, which college to apply? I don't directly go to the college. I ask, are you sure about the country? We need to go back. We need to understand. We need to understand questions the student has not verbalized, because we need to give the advice which we know finally helps the student reach the goal he might have stated, but not asked in the right way. So ChatGPT, you can say, which is the best college to do mechanical engineering? ChatGPT will go and give you the best college. But is that best for you?
You're going to help them reframe those questions.
See, a job might be there, but if that place you're going is so racist that it doesn't give a brown skin job, what is the fun in a college having jobs? All right. A college might be a top college, but it might be top for research, not for job. There are certain universities, fantastic universities, but long location.
Like Alaska.
I get students who come and say, sir, I don't want to go to this college because New York is expensive. Yeah, bloody New York is also a technology place, nada. So
Best access to Wall Street.
Don't leave New York, don't leave California, but look for cheaper colleges there. But don't say that living cost high here. Living cost will be high because the place is good. In India, when you are bloody willing to go to Bangalore, etc., and not stay in Visakhapatnam, wahan bhul jate ho tum. You forget there. So why are you, and I have seen kids who have paid shitload of money in undergraduation. But when they want to go for masters, now they want the cheapest college there.
Pura paisa yahan pe kharcha ho gaya hoga.
I know, but see, the point is that they have to understand the significance of masters, especially in the change setting, where a good masters can probably lead you to the job which can help you get the work visa which is required for the PR. The story has to complete till the PR. Because till they get the PR, they are not settled. I can talk about hundreds of students, Indians, whose parents were in deathbed in India.
Cannot come back.
They did not come back because they were afraid that if they come back, they might not get the visa to go back. Now, this is the sacrifice. You know what's my sadness? I go to a lot of marriages. And you know what I see in marriages? Old couples. And you know what the old couples show us? Their grandchildren, their children, all in USA, England, etc. with pride. My son is an oracle. My daughter-in-law is studying there. But they are both alone in India. You speak to the son and daughter there. You know how much they'll be missing the parents? They will. But then the question comes, why are they not coming back? Because the opportunity that you get there, they're not able to get in India. And it need not be only money, job, satisfaction,
Lifestyle.
rules. It's so very frustrating to drive in a car, and I might meet with an accident not because I am not following the rules, because others are not. And if I shout at the others for not following the rules, they will shout at me for shouting at them. And they say, India mein to ye hota hi hai. It can be very frustrating. Bottom line is, every single person who is sitting in the US, who is sitting in the UK, advising people, don't come here, don't come here, don't come here, he will really not pack the bag and come to India. Why? Because they know they have a better shot there. If they have a better shot there, then why the shit should I not send my son or my daughter there when they don't have a shot here? I sometimes get parents who come and tell that, is this the right time to go to USA? Bahut job nahi hai na. I ask them, they have a job in India. When you don't have a job in India, should you not fight to give them a hope?
Why waste time even? Just make them sit at home for 2-3 months, 6 months sometimes.
Yeah, but the point is,
And they get habituated to that.
not just that, it hurts their chances of getting a visa later. How do they explain to the visa people what they were doing in this time? So
Gap
that
year.
thought process is not there. Similarly, one of the most comical thing I've seen, when I go to colleges, I see a lot of professors of mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, civil engineering,
Teaching
talking
competitions.
about gate karo. But the same professor with the child will come and sit next to my table, asking for USA kaise jana hai bete ko. Alright? Big coaching institutions of India for GATE find out what the promoters and the children have done. So my bottom line is this. India today offers you a means of dreaming big. You don't need to be rich to dream that big. It takes guts, but look at it as an investment.
And you have to be good.
You have to understand it's a sacrifice. It's not going to be easy. You have to go there, you have to really slog. But the reward that you will get will be much better than the reward that you are likely to get in India. It is not that in India making money is tough. Making big money is tough. There are people who have made big money, but very few.
Percentage.
So, I do believe that more and more people will go. They will make the most. Things are going to become tougher. Countries are going to say that no.
They're closing
going
the
to make
borders.
tougher. Newer countries will open. Newer opportunities will open. Today I tell kids Dubai is a good place to go to. But every country will come with a constraint. Like Dubai, you can't settle down, not get citizenship.
You're always outsider there.
But you'll make money. Alright? So, newer countries will come into picture. But the fact of the matter is, if you are still particular that mere ko USE jana hai, traditional country jana hai, to jaldi jao bhai. Because it will become tougher.
Much tougher.
With time. And it's no more 5 years, 6 years. Now time is shrunk. Each year, we don't know what the rule change will take place. 40,000 used to go to Canada. 4 lakh. Now,
In 22?
yeah,
2 years ago?
4 lakh. More than even US. Abhi, government says don't come. We Indians also don't want to go. Because situation is like that. But does that mean that people are not going? People will still go. You don't go. Others will go. And they will go. They will make life there. So don't tell me opportunity is not there. It's exactly like India. Opportunities are there, provided you are good. In India, you can sit at home jobless. Outside, you cannot. But I think that demotivation, that is a good stick, At least you will bloody work there. India, they will sit at home.
Yes.
And then they will say, मैं ये internship कर रहा हूँ, या Amirpet में training कर रहा हूँ. All that has no value. These trainings and internship they could have done when they were undergraduates.
True.
Why the shit did you wait till finishing your undergraduation to discover the fact that all these are required? So, yeah, I think that is where both parents and children need people to guide, and that's where we come in. And therefore, do I see that there's a need? Answer is yes. In fact, the need is more because there are too many people marketing today. People go to education fairs. Education fair, colleges will come and say application fee waiver, spot admission, and our children get excited.
I got the admission. You know what?
But the pity is they don't understand who the shit gives a spot admission. Why would any student like to go to a college which is giving spot admission? If I give something for free, if a Chinese product is given at cheaper price, then they will think, no, we'll buy Sony, Samsung nahi kharidenge. They will bloody pay for Nike, etc. They could have got a local shoe better. But when it comes to education, kahin bhi jayenge.
So actually, this is very true. I have come across a few students who went to consultants. They were sent to such a college which exists in a fifth floor, 2-block office, and that's a college. And classes are mostly remote. By the time this guy came back to India, the college doesn't exist. It has shut its
No,
doors.
I think one of the things that people are not able to understand is whatever, and I'm not going to say that I am perfect, but the point is, how many consultants how many advisors can say that, look, I have been to IIC Bangalore, I have worked in government and all that. And why is that important? Because we understand the importance of education. One of the things I tell my team very clearly, we need to give the advice, the right advice. Because at the end of the day, we are not fly-by-night operators. It's not that aaj paisa banana hai. I've been running Conduira since 2007 and incorporated as a company in 2009. We have been funded by NSDC, National Skill Development Corporation, which is a Government of India company. So we are very clear about the fact that compromises should not be made because these are
Life
issues of the children. One of the greatest pride for me in Conduira is, I say, ek family member aaya, whole family will really come to me next. Today, people who are coming to me are young siblings of my past. My fear is going to come a day where their children are already going to become my students. That's going to remind me of my age as well.
But do you intend to work till then?
I think this is not work anymore for me.
There's a mission on you, huh?
It is fun. I think I'll continue to do that because it will continue to make me feel young. So I think as you age, you enjoy the company
doing certain
better.
things. Yes.
Okay. So I'm very confident about the fact that I already have a lot of next generation come in, especially of my own batchmates, and I have met a lot of young kids who are now school going. It's only a matter of time. They will start talking about UG, etc. Yeah, it's going to happen.
Wonderful, sir. Hopefully, things will keep you much more younger.
Yeah, inshallah, as we say. Yeah.
And keep exercising. As our doctor Samta also says, you have to build your strength.
Yeah.
So strength training is not
I think one of the other learnings that you get when you age is that health does take a priority. I'm sure even you as an entrepreneur, the start, we forget about another thing, we focus on this. And that is something that I also talk to my students. I keep saying health cannot be compromised, especially when they go abroad.